The Basics of Building Real Wealth. A YouTube audiobook. Welcome to Wealth and Wellness, your go-to channel for building real, long-term wealth and living a healthy, fulfilling life. Because here, we truly believe that health is your very first and most important wealth. And everything else, every dollar, every investment, every financial goal, comes after that. Introduction. Hey everyone. Welcome back. So glad you are here today. Now, today we are doing something really special. We are taking a deep dive into one of the most grounded, most practical, most no-nonsense pieces of financial writing I have come across in a long time. It is called The Basics of Building Real Wealth by Darius Foroux. And I want to be upfront with you right from the start. This is not one of those videos that promises you a get-rich-quick formula. There are no secret hacks here. No magic algorithms. No, invest in this one stock and retire in 5 years, kind of talk. What this is the real stuff. The foundational, fundamental, timeless stuff that actually works. If you are willing to commit to it and play the long game. Darius opens with a quote from Aristotle. And I love this. He says, "Well begun is half done." Think about that for a second. Getting the fundamentals right from the very beginning is already halfway to the finish line. That applies to fitness, to relationships, to your career, and absolutely, to building wealth. So let's get into it. Chapter by chapter, lesson by lesson. And let's make this real for you today. Chapter 1. You only have to get rich once. Alright. Let's kick things off with a mindset shift that honestly, I wish someone had told me years ago. Darius opens the book with a statement that sounds simple, but is actually pretty profound. He says, you only have to get rich once. Read that again. You only have to get rich once. After that, your job changes completely. Your job becomes to protect what you have built, and then grow it steadily over time. Now think about how different that is from how most Americans approach money. We are constantly in hustle mode, always chasing the next paycheck, the next raise, the next big opportunity. We treat wealth building like it is a never-ending sprint. But Darius is saying, no. It is more like a marathon that you run once, really well, with the right strategy. And then the compound effect does the heavy lifting for you. This framing is incredibly freeing when you really sit with it. Because it means you do not have to keep reinventing the wheel. You do not have to keep gambling. You do not have to keep stressing. You just have to get it right once. Stick to the fundamentals. And let time do its thing. And that is exactly what this book is about. Giving you the fundamentals to get it right the first time, so that you are not starting over again and again. Chapter 2. Adopt a contrarian mindset. Okay. Now here is the first real lesson. And it might sting a little. But stick with me. Darius says, before any tactics, before any investing strategies, before you open a single brokerage account, you need to fix your mindset first. Specifically, you need what he calls a contrarian mindset. So what does that mean exactly? It means consciously choosing to think and act differently from the majority of people around you. When it comes to money, here is the reality of American consumer culture. Most people around us are optimizing for right now. They want to look good today, feel good today, show the world they are doing well today. We upgrade our cars as soon as we get a raise. We book the vacation the moment we get a bonus. We buy the latest iPhone, the new sneakers, the designer bag, because everyone else seems to be doing it. And we do not want to feel left out. But here is the thing. That behavior. That completely normal, socially acceptable behavior is the exact thing that keeps most people from ever building real wealth. The person who builds wealth, according to Darius, is the one who zigs when everyone else zags. When your friends are upgrading their cars, you are investing that money instead. When everyone is buzzing about the next big purchase, you are thinking about what you can sell. When the stock market crashes and everyone around you is panicking, you are calmly looking for buying opportunities. Think about Warren Buffett. The guy lives in the same house in Omaha, Nebraska that he bought in 1958. He drives modest cars. He eats McDonald's breakfast regularly. One of the wealthiest humans to ever walk the planet. And he lives like your average retiree in the Midwest. That is the contrarian mindset in action. This does not mean you have to be boring or antisocial. It just means you have made a conscious, deliberate decision to play a different game. A longer game. A smarter game. And you commit to that decision every single day. Chapter 3. Keep your burn rate low. Always. Alright. Chapter 3. And this one hits close to home for a lot of us. Darius says, everyone knows, spend less than you earn. Almost nobody does it consistently. And honestly, that is the most accurate sentence in personal finance. We all know this rule. Right? It is not complicated. It is not some secret that only financial advisors know. But knowing it and actually doing it, consistently, over years, that is a completely different thing. And the reason we fail at it is not because we are bad with math. It is because of social pressure. We are wired as human beings to want to belong. To not feel left out. To not be the one at the friend group dinner who orders water while everyone else gets cocktails. That desire to fit in. To keep up. To be part of the experience. It is completely human. But it is also incredibly expensive. Darius shares something from his own life that I really appreciate for its honesty. He says his burn rate today is higher than it was 10 years ago. Because his income is proportionally higher too. But the gap between what he earns and what he spends, that gap feels the same as it always did. That is the goal. Not to never spend money. Not to be miserable. But to always maintain a meaningful gap between your income and your expenses. No matter how much your income grows. Because here is the thing. That gap. That space between what comes in and what goes out. That is where wealth is actually built. That is the raw material. If there is no gap, there is nothing to invest. Nothing to compound. Nothing to grow. Think about this in American terms. The average American household earns around $75,000 to $80,000 a year. But studies consistently show that the average American is living paycheck to paycheck. With less than $1,000 in emergency savings. That is not because $75,000 is not enough money. It is because the gap has been eliminated by lifestyle inflation. Protect the gap. Darius says it clearly. Protect it like your future depends on it. Because it does. Chapter 4. Wealth and money are not the same thing. Now this chapter. This one is short. But it is one of the most important mindset reframes in the entire book. And honestly, in all of personal finance, Darius draws a crystal clear distinction between money and wealth. And they are not the same thing. Money is a number. It is the dollar amount on your paycheck. In your bank account. On your tax return. It is a figure. A score. Wealth, on the other hand, is freedom. And options. Read that again. Wealth is freedom and options. Wealth is the ability to say no to a job you hate because you don't desperately need the paycheck. Wealth is being able to take 6 months off when a family member is sick. Wealth is the ability to move to a different city. Start a new business. Take a risk on something you believe in, without the fear that one wrong move wipes you out. That is completely different from just having a high salary. Darius warns against falling into the trap of just chasing a bigger paycheck, a fancier title, a higher bonus. Those things are not bad, but they are not the goal. The goal is freedom. The goal is options. In America, we see this trap play out constantly. People earn 6 figures, sometimes 7. But they are locked into their jobs because their lifestyle costs just as much as they make. They have a big salary but zero wealth. They are not free. They are just well-paid prisoners. The goal is to build something that gives you genuine security, genuine choices, and genuine freedom. Keep that end goal in focus always, because it is easy to get distracted by the money number and forget why you wanted it in the first place. Chapter 5. Invest consistently, not perfectly. Okay. Now we are getting into the actual mechanics of wealth building. And this chapter is going to challenge one of the most common beliefs people have about investing. A lot of Americans think that to build real wealth through investing, you need to be smart about it. You need to pick the right stocks, time the market correctly, know when to buy and when to sell, listen to the right analysts, follow the right people. Darius says, respectfully, no. That is not how it works. He says, nobody perfectly times the market. Not you. Not the experts on TV. Not the guy in your group chat who seems very confident. The people who build real wealth through investing do it by being consistent, not clever. They invest regularly, whether the market is up or down. They reinvest their returns instead of spending them. They leave their investments alone instead of constantly tinkering. They ignore the hot tip someone throws their way. They do not chase 1000% returns on the latest trending stock or cryptocurrency. They stay boring. And they stay invested. Think about index fund investing. The boring, steady strategy of putting a fixed amount into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund every single month, regardless of what the market is doing. Over the last century, the S&P 500 has returned an average of roughly 10% per year. Not every year. Some years it tanks. Some years it soars. But averaged out over time, 10% per year. Someone who invested $500 a month consistently for 30 years in an S&P 500 index fund, without trying to be clever, without market timing, would have accumulated well over $1 million. Just from consistency. Darius puts it simply. Time is the engine. Consistency is the fuel. Everything else is noise. That is all you need to remember about investing. Chapter 6. Your biggest wealth enemy is your own mind. Alright. This chapter. This one is the one that really gets me. Because it is so deeply honest. And so few people in finance are willing to say it out loud. Darius says your biggest enemy in building wealth is not the economy. It is not inflation. It is not bad luck. It is not even a bad financial advisor. It is you. Your own mind. Specifically, fear, impatience, comparison, and overconfidence. These 4 psychological forces destroy more wealth than any bad investment ever could. And Darius is not speaking theoretically here. He shares from his own experience. He says almost every financial mistake he has ever made came from emotion, not ignorance. He knew the right thing to do, but his emotions pushed him in a different direction. Buying when he was excited, selling when he was scared, Abandoning a solid strategy because he read something alarming online. Sound familiar? Because this happens to all of us. Think about March 2020. When the COVID pandemic hit and the stock market crashed nearly 35% in a matter of weeks. Millions of Americans panic sold their investments at the absolute worst possible time. Driven purely by fear. And then the market recovered completely within months. Those who sold locked in massive losses. Those who held firm, or even bought more, came out ahead. The enemy was not COVID. The enemy was the fear response. Darius also gives a word of warning about financial media. Especially financial accounts on YouTube and social media. Everyone sounds incredibly confident. Everyone has a prediction. Everyone has an opinion on what the market is going to do next. The reality? They are very convincing. But rarely right. Tune it out. Protect your strategy from your own emotions. And protect it from the noise of the internet. That is the lesson of this chapter. Chapter 7. You can't get rich by saving alone. This chapter is one that I think a lot of people in America, particularly older generations, really need to hear. Because so many of us were raised with the idea that saving money is the path to wealth. Work hard. Spend carefully. Save everything you can. And one day you will be set. And Darius respects that foundation. He truly does. He says saving is essential. Saving is where you start. But he is very clear about this. Saving is not the strategy. It is the starting point. Here is the hard truth. Money sitting in a traditional savings account is actually losing value every single year. Because of inflation. If your savings account is earning 0.5% interest, but inflation is running at 3% or 4%, your money is shrinking in real purchasing power. Every single month. You are working hard to save it. And the economy is quietly eating away at it. The goal of saving is to give yourself something to invest. Not to hoard cash. But to build a launch pad. Think about it this way. A rocket on the ground is not going anywhere. It needs fuel to launch. Savings is the fuel. Investing is the launch. You need both. But the rocket does not do anything until it takes off. Save aggressively. Absolutely. But always remember that the real work of wealth building happens when that saved money is put to work in assets. In investments. In things that generate returns while you sleep. That is how money multiplies. Not by sitting still in a savings account. Chapter 8. Don't fall into the signaling trap. Okay. This chapter. This one cuts right to the heart of something deeply woven into American culture. And it takes a little courage to talk about honestly. Darius calls it the signaling trap. And it is exactly what it sounds like. Spending money not because you need or even truly want something, but because you want to signal to other people that you are doing well. Darius shares a personal story here. When he was working at a corporate firm in London, he spent a lot of money on suits. He found himself constantly thinking about buying a Rolex. He didn't have the money for one at the time. But he admits, if he had the money, he probably would have bought it without thinking twice. Because in that environment, appearances signaled success. And he got caught up in that. The signaling trap shows up everywhere in American life. The luxury SUV that is leased because you can't actually afford to buy it. The designer handbag bought on a credit card. The Instagram-worthy vacation funded by debt. The upgraded house that stretches the mortgage far beyond comfort. All of it is spending money to tell the world. Look at me. I am successful. And here is the cruel irony. The people doing this often aren't successful. At least not financially. They look successful. But they are broke under the surface. Meanwhile, the genuinely wealthy people, the ones who have built real financial freedom, are often driving regular cars, living in modest homes, wearing normal clothes, because they figured out a long time ago that impressing strangers is an incredibly expensive hobby. Darius gives one honest question to ask yourself before any purchase. Do I actually need this? Or do I just want it? And he says the answer, almost every time, is that you just want it. And wanting something, by itself, is not a good enough reason to buy it. Invest the money instead. Chapter 9. Build one reliable income stream before chasing multiple. Now, if there is one piece of advice in this entire book that goes against what the internet is telling you right now, it is this one. Open up YouTube or Instagram or TikTok right now, and the financial content you will find is dominated by one concept: multiple income streams, passive income, side hustles, 5 ways to make money while you sleep, 12 income streams by age 30. And look, multiple income streams are a great goal. Eventually, Darius is not against them in principle, but he makes a point that almost nobody else is making. And it is really important. He says, build one reliable income stream before chasing multiple. Without a solid foundation, diversification is just a distraction dressed up as a strategy. Think about someone who is splitting their time and energy between 5 different income ideas: a dropshipping store, an Etsy shop, a YouTube channel, a real estate side hustle, and a crypto trading account, all at the same time, with no single one of them fully developed. The result? 5 mediocre attempts and 0 mastery. 5 half-built things that generate a little money but never gain real momentum. Compare that to someone who focuses obsessively on one income stream, gets really good at it, builds it into something dependable and scalable, and then, from that position of strength, starts adding a second stream. That second approach is how real wealth gets built. Get one thing working well, build it until it is genuinely solid, and then expand. Not the other way around. Chapter 10. Delayed gratification is the whole game. Alright. We are getting close to the end. And Darius saves one of his most important lessons for this chapter. He says, flat out, delayed gratification is the whole game. Every person you admire for their financial success, every self-made millionaire, every entrepreneur who built something meaningful, they all traded short-term pleasure for long-term gain. Not once, not twice, consistently, over years, over decades. And here is the thing about America. We are surrounded by a culture that screams at us to have it now. Buy now. Pay later. You deserve it. Treat yourself. Life is short. YOLO. And look, enjoying life is important. I am not here to tell you to live like a monk. But there is a difference between enjoying life intentionally and making impulsive decisions that feel good for 5 minutes and cost you years of progress. The person who passes on the new car and keeps driving their paid-off Honda is quietly investing the money they would have spent on a car payment. Every month, every year, and 10 years later. While the person with the flashy car has been making payments the entire time. The boring person has a brokerage account that is quietly doing its thing. Delayed gratification is not about suffering. It is about perspective. It is about being able to clearly see that the thing you want right now, the short-term pleasure, is worth far less than the thing you are building toward, the long-term freedom. The sooner you accept this truth, the sooner you stop looking for shortcuts. And that is when the real progress begins. Chapter 11. Make money from what you are genuinely good at. And here we are. The final chapter. And Darius says this one took him the longest to figure out. He talks about working at his family's industrial laundry equipment business. And then later at a large IT research firm. He could see a path forward in both places. But something felt off. The work didn't align with his real strengths. The ceiling felt low. The trajectory felt slow. And he makes an important distinction here. He is not saying that a corporate career is a bad path. Plenty of people, especially in tech over the last decade, have built real wealth through corporate careers. Moving up the ladder. Getting equity. Earning strong salaries in high-demand fields. But he is saying, you need to be honest with yourself. Is the path you are on giving you a real chance to reach your full potential? Or are you just going through the motions because it is the safe, expected thing to do? For Darius, the answer was writing and content creation. Things he was genuinely gifted at. Things where he could create real value for people. Things that could scale in ways a corporate salary never could. And here is his framework, which I think is beautiful in its simplicity. Get very good at what you do. The better you get. The more value you create. The more value you create. The more you will earn. That is it. That is the formula. Not find a high-paying field and force yourself to get good at it. But genuinely, authentically, get excellent at something you are already wired for. Something that comes more naturally to you than it does to others. And then find the profitable path within that. Because when you are doing something you are genuinely great at, you will outwork and outperform almost everyone else. Not because you are grinding yourself into the ground, but because mastery in your natural area of strength creates disproportionate value. And that value, eventually, translates into disproportionate income. As Darius says, put yourself in a position where you would genuinely be missed if you left. If you can do that, wealth is only a matter of time. Summary. Here is what it all comes down to. The Basics of Building Real Wealth by Darius Foroux is a reminder that building wealth is not complicated. But it is hard. It requires a contrarian mindset that goes against the grain of consumer culture. It requires keeping your expenses below your income. Always. Protecting that gap like your life depends on it. It means understanding that wealth is not a paycheck. It is freedom and options. It means investing consistently over time. Not chasing perfect timing. And managing your own emotional reactions as fiercely as you manage your portfolio. It means saving not as an end in itself but as fuel for investing. It means resisting the status signals that quietly drain your bank account. It means mastering one income stream before spreading yourself thin. And embracing delayed gratification as a daily practice. Not a one-time sacrifice. And ultimately, it means doing all of this through the lens of what you are genuinely great at. So that the value you create for the world is real, deep, and enduring. None of this is flashy. None of it goes viral. But every single principle in this book is timeless. And if you commit to just one of these ideas today, you will be in a better financial position a year from now than you are right now. End credits. And that is a wrap on today's audiobook. The Basics of Building Real Wealth by Darius Foroux. I genuinely hope this gave you something real today. Something you can carry with you. Something that shifts the way you think about money. Even just a little bit. Because sometimes all it takes is one idea. At the right moment. To change the entire trajectory of your financial life. From the bottom of my heart. Thank you for spending your time here with us today. Your time is precious. And I never take it lightly that you chose to spend some of it with this channel. Thank you. Now, if this video added any value to your day, please go ahead and hit that like button right now. It is a small thing for you, but it makes a huge difference for us. And it helps this content reach more people who need it. And if you have not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and join our community. Because every week we are here, bringing you the real, honest, grounded conversations about building long-term wealth and living a healthy, fulfilling life. Because remember, your health is always your first wealth. And we never forget that. Drop a comment below and tell me, which chapter hit you the hardest today? Was it the contrarian mindset, the signaling trap, or maybe the reminder that delayed gratification is the whole game? I read every single comment, and I would love to hear from you. Until next time, take care of your health, protect your gap, and keep building. We will see you in the next one. Wealth and wellness. Long-term wealth. Starting with your health.